presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that.
Welcome in. It's the first day of December. Do you realize we're about to say 2023? That's crazy. Crazy fast. These days, they go so by. Once you get older, they go by so quickly. You don't know that yet, J-Mo. There's an old Joni Mitchell song. You know who Joni Mitchell is?
I do.
And she says in the song, I think it's called The Circle Game. As you get older, you know, you're on this carousel of life. As you get older, you drag your feet to slow the circles down. That's what I feel like I'm doing. I'm trying to slow it up a little bit. I want to savor every bit of it. It's going by so quick. But I have good news and something really good to hold on to want to live longer for. The college football playoffs are going to happen. The Rose Bowl, everybody goes, well, you know, they finally became this gracious entity. Forget about it. They were told if they did not get their act together, they would be left out of the new TV contract. Oh, as proud as they may be, they weren't going to lose that money. So they relented. They agreed. Now we're going to have a 12-team playoff. I'm pretty sure, until I see it in writing, though, you never know. But I'm pretty sure that means the group of five will have one seat at the table. So the 5 Power Fives are going to get their champions, right? That's an automatic berth. Then the group of 5 gets 1. That's 6. Then the 6 best that are at large, which will probably be 4 SEC teams, and then 2 Big Ten teams, that'll make up the rest of the thing.
Do you acknowledge the, I guess what the Rose Bowl wants to acknowledge, that they're above the rest? I think the Rose Bowl should always be the national championship.
Well,
it's the granddaddy of them all.
No, I don't.
You want it to be all over the place.
I think it should be shared amongst the major bowls.
But it's the granddaddy, Dave.
I don't care about it being the granddaddy. I don't like their smugness. I would have been okay with that prior to this crap that they've tried to pull. And, you know, part of the thing is they tried to exploit TV, too. They were saying, we're not signing until we'll go along with this now, but we're not doing a deal with you guys until you say that even when the granddaddy of them all is not the championship game, that you have to grant us an open window. There can be no other game on at the time that the Rose Bowl is being played. And you know what they said? We'll try to work with you. We're not guaranteeing you that. And that's what they should have said. The Rose Bowl should, as much as I like the Rose Bowl. I mean, as a kid, I'd get up. I wanted to watch the parade.
Historic.
I wanted to see if the roses really, like, they're using roses on these floats. Incredible. Yeah, I wanted to see all of that. And I couldn't wait for the game because I grew up in Big Ten country in Chicago. But I don't think that they deserve a lifetime sense of privilege. They should be a part of the system, a good part of the system. I'm not saying they shouldn't get their time as the game and that they shouldn't be promoted and it should stay Pac-10 and Big Ten. I'm good with that. I'm good with that all the way through. But I don't think they get special treatment because I don't think they're above the Orange Bowl. I watch that every year as a kid. I don't think they're above the Cotton Bowl. And I have even warmer feelings for the Cotton Bowl because Memphis was in that. And I've never seen more hospitality and what big league really felt like. I mean, they say that if you're a team in the Cotton Bowl, that's better than any of them, the way they treat you. I know this much. I've never been treated better at a bowl game than that. And if Memphis goes to Shreveport, I don't think they will this time. Or Birmingham, I know they don't get treated that way. So I just don't think they're above all the others that would be in this. Now, the Fiesta is sort of a Johnny-come-lately.
It is.
But
and the Sugar Bowl, too, is
the Sugar Bowl is right there with the Rose Bowl.
Right.
It's right there with the Orange Bowl. It's right there with the Cotton Bowl. Those are the 4. And you throw in the Fiesta, it's a 5th bowl. Okay, I'm all right with that. Rotate those. I don't think the Rose Bowl should get any extra special consideration. I do not. But I'm appreciative that they finally relented. because now Memphis has a chance to, one, get really big money, because there's going to be $450 additional million involved in this pot with this playoff expansion. 450. That's pretty good. So I honestly believe, now look, I would rather be in a Power 5. If you said to me, well, you're getting in the Big 12 or you're getting in the ACC, I go, come on, sign me up. You all know that. That would make for such great regular season games, postseason tournaments that would be on Compare. It would be so much fun. But if you're asking me about the road to the playoffs as what should be one of the top 3 or 4 of the remaining teams in the group of 5, SMU is going to pay their guys $46,000 minimum, right? So they're in a pretty good spot. Boise is still group of 5. You got Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina. Those teams have been pretty good of late. ECU's put a lot of money into football, into their stadium. But you're in that elite group of the group of 5. Your path to getting that seat, that one of 12 in the playoffs, is actually better in this position than it would be if you were in the Power 5.
Certainly, it's easier to win these leagues, or at least be at the top of these leagues, than it would be in the SEC or Big 12 or anything like that.
Now, next year it's not going to happen because the strength of schedule is not good, but it could start in 24 or 25, most likely 25. So if it does, that means we've got 2 more years of 4 teams. After that, it's wide open. And if Memphis can continue to build, and they should be the champions of the American next year, with the way the schedule looks. I haven't seen East Carolina's or SMU's. I know they're going to play SMU, but I look at that, and they'll get SMU at home. Well, they've really had SMU's number. I would have to say that if it was a 12-team conference, a 12-team playoff next year, Memphis, with that schedule, they'd have a chance.
The question would be if, like, Coastal Carolina a couple years ago goes undefeated in the Sun Belt, does a one-loss American team trump?
I don't think so.
So undefeated in a smaller league like that would give you the case.
I still think you're going to have to beat 5 other leagues, right, if there's an undefeated there. So Coastal Carolina would get in if they're undefeated. But how often has Coastal Carolina been undefeated?
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
And that league's Sun Belt's getting even better.
Right.
Competitive.
Right. And then, you're dealing with Boise because they're a formidable opponent, although they have not really been good the last couple of years. But Memphis will be in that conversation. And that is something Ryan Silverfield can sell. You can make the playoffs. And once you make the playoffs, if you're the team that makes the playoffs, you really pay off on that. That helps recruiting. That helps your budget. It helps everything. So this was about as good a news as you could get. It came on the heels of finding out Chuck Stobart had passed away, which saddened me a great deal. I did Chuck Stobart's television show. And in those days, you really didn't see the highlights until right before you did the show. So I cannot tell you, because Chuck was the coach for 6 years, and I did his TV show and his radio show in those days, all those years. I cannot tell you how many times I sat 2 hours before we did the TV show in the studios, which was Channel 24 in those days. It was right on Union Avenue before you got to Cooper, just east of Cooper Avenue, and watched film with him and talked with him. And I really liked Chuck a whole lot. Chuck was an old school guy. He coached for 43 years. He was involved with 11 different major universities. He was the MAC Coach of the Year at Toledo. I want to say that was probably in the late 70s. He was here from 89 to 94. His record was 29-36-1 here, but that's a little misleading. After he got his guys in and built the program up, he went 3 years in a row, and they fired him after this. A lot of this had to do with stuff that was not part of football that Chuck was let go for. But he was 6-5, 6-5, 6-5. And if you were to go back in those years. I think that would have been 92, 93, 94, that he was 6-5, 6-5, 6-5. He was playing, there's no conference, right? So he's playing almost half the SEC schools. He's playing North Carolina. He's playing Florida State. He beat Arkansas, I think, 3 times. That after the third time, Arkansas canceled the agreement. That's why they had to pay the school money. Frank Broyles ended up, they were going to sue him, and he ended up in a settlement. And I think back then they paid him $250,000 or something. It was a lot of money back then, not much money now. But that's how they got out of it after Chuck beat Arkansas 3 straight times. They beat Mississippi State a couple times. They beat Florida State. They beat North Carolina. They were, of course, Florida State wasn't quite the school it then became because Bobby Bowden was just building it. But they went 6-5, 6-5, 6-5. They never went to a bowl because back in those days when he was coaching, he qualified with 6-5, but there were only so many bowls. It's not like now where you got more bowls than you got eligible teams. 6-5s back then didn't get you necessarily into a bowl unless you were a major brand name already. And so they let Chuck go, and to me that was always kind of sad because I really thought he was a heck of a guy. He lived a great life, though. He was 90 years old. And he was a guy, when he was coaching, he looked like he was 80 already. So he lived a good life. His son Greg, I know, was quoted in the paper. I always liked him. He was a heck of a driver of the golf ball. I played in some scrambles with Greg Stobart. Chuck Stobart, nice guy. They called him Ground Chuck because he loved to run the ball. He was clearly an old school guy, grew up with coaching at Michigan and Ohio State and USC. So he knew it all. He knew that rivalry. He knew great coaches. He learned from Shem Beckler and Hayes and those kinds of guys. Good guy. Sad. Send my thoughts and prayers to his son, Greg Stobart, and their entire family. It was also sad last night that Christine McVeigh from Fleetwood Mac, who wrote Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow, wrote You Make Lovin' Fun. She was involved in a lot of hits. And Christine McVeigh played the keyboards, wrote a lot of the music, but she was one of the mainstays of Fleetwood Mac through different manifestations because they were a blues band to begin with. She was married to John McVeigh, the bassist. Of course, Mick Fleetwood is the drummer. So you had that rhythm section still in place today, Fleetwood and Mac. But then you had Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham join. You had different guys along the way that were really good musicians, and so they went from blues to different rock, and then to the really popular music that they became in the late 70s. But Christine McVeigh, 79. And I think they had just toured, right? This was, they say she died from a illness, short period of time. I think she got it, and boom, that was it. 79, though. That is tough. All right, last night, the Grizz. I didn't see any of the game. I've seen some highlights, or lowlights, I guess you could say. I'm sure, J-Mo, you watched this thing. The Grizzlies, I think, believed they were going to Minneapolis to celebrate Christmas, because they were in a giving spirit. So generous to the Timberwolves that they gave them 27 turnovers. Just said, here's the ball. 27 turnovers. That is the most. You know how long long ago the Grizzlies had a 27 turnover game?
How long ago?
15 years, 2007.
Wow. So in the years of this the worst basketball in Grizzlies history, they turned the ball over that much. Not this day and age where they're fourth in the West.
That's a long time ago.
That's crazy.
The Tigers are about to turn the corner and get to the national championship the next year. That's how bad and how long ago this feat was. 27 turnovers. Wait, there's more. Get fouled, go to the free throw line. We don't want to go to the free throw line. Missing 12 free throws. 12 free throws? Are they pros?
So, yeah, 60% of the free throw line is not going to get it done at all. And also their defense.
And you got your chances. You missed 12.
And their defense wasn't very good either. They gave up like 68 points, 68 points in the second half. They gave up a ton of points in the second half. And honestly, the Timberwolves' offense flowed so much. It was so much simpler without Karl-Anthony Towns
two
on the
big
floor.
guys.
But I say that, but it's not two big guys. It's really
right.
Without Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor, to be honest.
So let me ask you this right now. Point blank. High hard one, as Stats Norsworthy likes to say. If you're drafting and you can only take the one big guy, you taking Gobert, you taking Cat?
Well, I got to take Karl Anthony Towns.
I would too.
I got to take Karl Anthony Towns. But that doesn't mean that this offense didn't look better last night without him on the floor. It's
Well,
just
because it was stupid of their GM to bring Gobert in and to take away all spacing and everything that goes with having two big guys in a game now that is all about 3 points and transition.
Unless you deal Cat. Unless you find a way to deal Cat, then I like this offense the way it is, to be honest. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I don't think D'Angelo Russell's a true point guard necessarily, but they got good guard play out of those guys.
And Anthony Edwards, he was the star of the game. He had 29, but you know what else he did?
What?
He just totally stymied John Morant.
Great, good
Do you
defender.
know how many steals he had last night?
5, 4?
5 steals. I think they were all off Ja.
Yeah.
And so frustrating that in the end of the game here, you'll have to tell me all the circumstances, but the way I've read this was that Edwards drew 2 fouls on Dylan Brooks. That so frustrated Brooks, he got 2 Ts. Got tossed from the game because of that. And then Ja, in defense, and apparently aghast that Brooks got tossed the way he did, he got 2 Ts, and they tossed him. Both those guys tossed at the end of the game.
Well, I think that was, like you said, out of frustration just after everything that already transpired. I think the game was in hand at that point anyway, so it doesn't really matter a ton. But it speaks to the frustration level, and Anthony Edwards is a good defender, 2 sides of the ball. You don't see that very often. That's what it takes to be elite in the NBA. And this guy, like you said, scored 30 points and played great defense. It was a great game, and I had a feeling that their offense was going to open up a lot without Cat on the floor. It doesn't mean they're going to be better long-term. It doesn't mean Cat's a bad player. It just simplifies everything. It's not... You don't have to placate this guy's ego when he's on the floor anymore. You can just play basketball a little bit.
You worried about the Grizz at all now? 12-9. They are under 500, as we mentioned yesterday. I think they're 6-8 against teams over 500. And that was a team they lost to that is now 500, but was under 500 when they began the game. I know they're missing Bane. They still haven't seen Zaire Williams all year long. But are we starting to worry that the Western Conference, as we suspected to begin the year, had too many good teams that the Grizzlies were not going to duplicate what they did a year ago? Then the K2 replication of computers that has them winning the West and all this other hype. They haven't had their whole team together the whole year yet. Not yet. But are you starting to go, okay, the goal has to be make top 6. That's still within reach, but that's going to be a fight.
I'm worried about the bench. I mean, to be honest, I don't think the bench, you're playing too many young guys that aren't good enough on defense. The Grizzlies perpetually give up 30 points in the third quarter, which is a moment where they're trying to get the bench on the floor so that the starters can play in the fourth quarter. And every third quarter, they get blown out. And I think that speaks to bench play. It's not as bad as maybe how the Warriors have been bench play-wise, but you got to have better bench play, especially when you get down the stretch of the season. We're forgetting we haven't even played December basketball yet.
Simply put, and maybe it's because they'll get better as the day goes on, but you lost Kyle Anderson and you lost DeAnthony Melton, and basically what you have replaced them with are 2 rookies, Roddy and LaRavia. And they're not those 2 guys. They're not as good as those 2
Not
guys.
at all. And they're scoring well. They're getting better, too. But rookies in the NBA just aren't going to be able to guard. No, Zaire Williams that's his game, his defense. So he was good at it last year. But I wouldn't look to 2 guys that are brought up to be offensive players to be very good on defense in their rookie season.
Tigers beat North Alabama last night, 87-68. They did what they're supposed to against a really bad team. Now, in the past, they might not have done that. In the past, they might have had some guys that go, this is a bad team, and they were. They're 327th in the Ken Palm. Memphis, by the way, was 26 going into that game. This is the one breather in the entire preseason that they have seen thus far. And in the past, you would have seen guys going, I'm going to get mine. That did not happen. They actually had a game plan. They played a bunch of bench players. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute with our friend from the Commercial Appeal, Jason Munz, on the Tigers and what else may be going on with Demarie Franklin, Jamar Young, and all of the rest. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. I told you it would happen. We've got a Christmas sale that is going on. You knew that was going to happen, and I'm going to tell you, they got excellent deals on pool tables, shuffleboards, and saunas. They are asking you, are you tired from all the shopping you've had to do? Or you're going to be. Well, check out the huge in-stock selection of hot tubs and those massage chairs that I'm telling you are really cool. And you could surprise the kids with a new arcade, a game table, a play gym. It's all happening. Gifts for the whole family to enjoy right now at I-40 and Wooden Road. That's the good folks at Family Leisure. And don't forget our title sponsor, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, Mississippi. That's at the corner of Craft Road, the first exit in Mississippi off Highway 78, which is Lamar in Memphis. Here's the beauty, and I've been talking to you about this, and I got to get a hold of these guys just to find out what other things are cooking up. But right now, and it's not just for Christmas. This started a couple of weeks ago. They have a new financial plan for you where you can go in to this wonderful dealership, pick up a Tucson, pick up a Santa Fe, my favorite car, pick up an Elantra, pick up a Veloster, pick up any of their cars, and I think they're the best products on the market. And you don't have to worry about paying when you leave the premises for 90 days. We're talking 3 months. This deferred payment plan, it's outstanding. Get a new Hyundai. Don't worry about paying for 90 days. That's what you get at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You'll get Jason Munz when we come back in just a minute to Wolo and Friends.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey guys, Platinum Jewelers wants to make you feel like a king or queen this holiday season and all year long. It's where the Tigers and Grizzlies go. Platinum Jewelers specializes in diamond engagement rings and customization, and they have a wide variety of watches, bracelets, earrings, and rings. They'll pay top dollar for your golden diamonds, and wholesale pricing is available. Platinum Jewelers, 9387 Poplar Avenue in Germantown, next to Fresh Market. Call 901-907-0626. Platinum Jewelers, proud supporters of the Memphis Tigers.
It's that special time of year when all of us have special occasions. And if you have a special occasion, then the solution is almost always 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. Friends and relatives are coming in from out of town, and you want to treat them to something in Memphis they can't get in their hometown, and they sure can't get 117 Prime. The best possible steaks cooked by the steak experts, perfect seafood, drinks that can't be found anywhere else. You want to show off Memphis to your out-of-town visitors. You want to take them to Prime.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Coming up, AFC East action with Mac Jones and the Patriots hosting Josh Allen and the Bills. Buffalo is 8-3, but 0-2 in the division. Now they travel to New England for their first meeting of the year with Bill Belichick's 6-5 Pats. Join me and Jason McCourty for all the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back. If your first bet doesn't win, just sign up with the promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code WIN for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. Arizona 1-800-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Indiana, Kansas 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana 1-877-770-STOP. New York 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming, West Virginia 1-800-522-4700 or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I just watched the craziest technical foul on Jerry Stackhouse. Did you see him last night?
That was insane.
Oh, gosh.
He lost his mind.
Oh, my God. They had to bring police to get him off.
the entire coaching staff.
Oh my gosh, that was wild. There was nothing like that at FedEx Forum last night. And our friend Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal is going to join us here in just a second. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. They are giving away a free furnace and a free Nest thermostat if you buy a new air conditioning system right now. And you need to, because with new regulations, if you've got old technology, the prices are going way up. They're trying to get you in before these regulations go in. 384-3511. Again, buy a new cooling system. You get a free furnace and those cool Nest thermostat, state-of-the-art, where you can literally anywhere in the world regulate the temperature in your house by room with your phone. Cool stuff, that's for sure. And always the best from the premier heating, cooling, and electric company in all the Mid-South. That's our friends at Conway Services. Jason Munns joins us now. He's been a busy man on the move since early this morning. How are you? Did you have a good turkey day?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was, well, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say that. It was...
You were in Orlando, right? So you were not at home.
No, I was at home. I was at home for the first 5 or 6 hours of Turkey Day.
Oh, really?
And then hopped a flight at 7 a.m. And so it was a long day, but it was a good one. Yeah, like a little bit of travel, early travel and everything, but it went smooth, so I can't complain too much.
Well, good. What did you think about last night? Your impressions as the Tigers take care of business against probably, I think, the worst team on the schedule, right? I don't think South Florida or East Carolina are worse by Ken Palm than North Alabama is.
No, yeah, not as far as like the metrics are concerned. No, that's probably going to be the worst team they face. But you know, like they did what they were supposed to do. They went out and took care of business. It was a wire-to-wire win. You know, but like it just, I kind of. I tweeted about it during the game last night, and I kind of talked to Penny about it after the game. You know, like that was the type of game where, you know, normally in the last couple of years, Memphis would like, you know, the first 10 or 15 minutes of the game might be a little bit nip and tuck, and it shouldn't be. You know, like they may even be down at certain points. You know, they may go into the half up 8 or up 10, wind up winning by 25 or 30, but you know, like that's traditionally in the last few years one of the types of games that leads to a little bit more consternation than it should. But that was not the case last night. It was, you know, you could just tell that like it was yet another shining example, in my opinion, of how this team is just drastically different than the last few years' teams. They're more mature. Everybody knows their role. They know what they're supposed to do, and they don't get out there and try to do things that aren't part of the game plan and aren't part of, you know, like everybody knows what they're supposed to do, and they do it. They don't always do it as well as they could, or as they're not as always as effective as you hope they might be. But last night it all worked exactly the way it should, and I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, I love that they ran stuff instead of guys trying to get their own, which sometimes when you're playing a team that you know you overmatch, they do. I think Penny was trying to find bench and roles and try to figure all that as they get into this stretch where they're going to play the SEC West in Arkansas, Little Rock, basically.
Yep.
Do you?
I mean, how many times in the past few years did we hear Penny talk about that his team didn't respect the opponent, that they read the name on the front of the jersey, right, and they thought, oh, we'll just get out there and just take care of business. Like way more than we can count that happened in the last few years, and that was not the case last night. You could tell that they respected the team on the other side of the court, and because they did, it was never in doubt.
Do you think we know it's Kendrick Davis 1, DeAndre Williams 2? Has it now been established Keontae Kennedy is 3? Or are we looking still? Is McCadden in that picture? What do you think you've learned now through these first 7 games? Or what has Penny learned, I guess is the best way to put it?
I think one of the other takeaways that I had last night was that Keontae Kennedy was very clearly the focal point, like at least in the first half. I mean, he had like 9 field goal attempts in the first half. Like they were very clearly telling him, like there were no limitations on him. They wanted. It seemed to me that Penny wanted him to go out there and, you know, he was being given the opportunity to be that guy, to step up to the plate and be that third guy for Memphis. And, you know, in the first half he did fine. I think he scored 9 points in the first half or whatever. You know, hit a 3 and did some things. He would have had more points if the dunk, the one-handed dunk recreation of the play down in Orlando hadn't rimmed out. But, but yeah, no, like I think if last night told us anything, it's that they want him to be that third guy, at least until DeMarie Franklin, until that situation is resolved. And I think he can be. I don't think it's going to be like he's going to be that guy every night. I mean, Penny even said as much last night. There are going to be nights where, you know, it's just not, it just isn't going well for him. And I think that's where guys like Alex Lomax and like Chandler Lawson or Jonathan Lawson, you know, or Elijah McCadden need to step up. And last night you saw good things from all those guys. Chandler Lawson had 8 points. Elijah McCadden had 8 points and was very efficient. Both of them were. Jonathan Lawson was very efficient. He scored 10 points. First time in his young career that he's had double digits in scoring. So
all he did was shoot threes. He was 3 out of 4 there, and he hit a free throw on a 2. You know, he does have a pretty decent release of that ball from 3-point range. Maybe there's the guy. I mean, I think if he wants more minutes, he's got to defend better. But clearly, he's established himself as a guy who can shoot from downtown.
Yes, I think that if he were at this, and it's no knock on him, it's just he's younger. And hasn't quite developed the defensive chops that Penny Hardaway, you know, demands from his players. If he were further along defensively, I think he would be that guy on the wing that is sort of, it's not missing. It's just not like quite there yet. Like it's not something, you know, it's not as much of a sure thing as DeAndre Williams or Kendrick Davis or, you know, some other guys here and there, but, you know, I mean, like that's something to monitor this season. If Jonathan can make some progress on the defensive end, then he becomes a more reliable option, and maybe he sees control of that 3.
He's trying to figure out roles for his bench. Did we learn something about KO last night? 5 blocks in the game.
Yeah, 5 blocks. I mean, like he's and never mind the blocks. Like, I don't know if you saw it, but there were 2 different occasions where a North Alabama player attempted a 3-pointer, and KO, like, you just don't often see 6'10" guys who can jump as high as he can, that far out on the perimeter, that high up in the air. Now, you know, against better teams, that might get him in trouble. But he's altering shots, is my point, and not just inside. He's altering shots in the mid-range. He's altering shots on the perimeter. So, and that's what, like, when I wrote my 5 bold predictions that I had to write before the season started, that's why I wrote that that I predicted he would be the AAC Defensive Player of the Year, because I believe that he has that capability. That is his potential. He's got the potential to be that. And he showed it last night with the 5 blocks and his ability to alter the shots at all 3 levels. He keeps points off the board in multiple ways. And so, if we learned anything, it's that he has that in him. It's just, through the first 6 games before last night, he's had more, struggles than successes, and we'll see. I mean, it's gonna depend on how quickly he can adjust to this level, just how much we're going to see of him going forward.
Well, he sold Penny a little bit last night because Penny mentioned him on the postgame show with us on radio. And,
nice.
But if I'm going to be a devil's advocate to your argument about Defensive Player of the Year, I don't think he's going to get enough minutes to become that, and I'll tell you why. He played 21 minutes and 40 seconds last night, but that is because Malcolm Dandridge played 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And Malcolm is not going to play only 5 minutes a game. And let's take into account and move to another category here, which is players that Memphis hopes will play soon. One is Jamar Young. He's a guy nobody's talking about. But when I shot the Penny Hardaway TV show on Monday, we did segments that will run for weeks. So we're looking ahead. And he called Jamar Young, the 6'10 kid from SMU, Dennis Rodman. So some of those KO minutes could go to Jamar Young, provided he becomes academically eligible. And then what's the story with Demarie Franklin? We're still waiting on both Franklin and Young. Do you believe they will both play this year?
Yeah, I do. I think really Jamar Young's situation is strictly academics. I don't believe he needs a waiver. He's a first-time transfer. There seems to be some differing opinions on that. I actually talked to Jamar before the Tigers played Stanford, and he's under the impression that he needs a waiver. I do not believe that is the case for a variety of reasons. But the trump card is that he's a first-time transfer, and I don't understand. That's a blanket waiver.
As long as you have the academics.
Right, which he does not, which he has spent this fall semester getting in order, and it seems like by what he says, and other people have told me that he is doing well, and the semester ends. The final exam is December 8th, so I would assume that he'll get his grades sometime around that date, and I don't know if he'll be ready immediately. I don't know if, let's say he gets eligible December 8th. On the nose, or maybe it's December 9th. I don't know if he'll be ready to play against Auburn on December 10th, having not played for a long time in a real game. But I do think he eventually gets eligible. And it's interesting that Penny likens him to Dennis Rodman, because as everyone knows, Rodman was perhaps one of the greatest rebounders in NBA history. And, that's one pretty glaring area that KO has not been very good at. He's great at altering shots and blocking shots. He doesn't give you much offensively, but he also seems to struggle his hands. There are issues with his hands and securing rebounds and his instincts on angles and when to jump and where to jump. It seems to all still be ironing themselves out, and so that would be great. Malcolm doesn't rebound at an extremely high clip. Chandler's pretty good rebounder.
Yeah,
but
he is.
If Young is being compared to Dennis Rodman, well, that'll be a big shot in the arm. And then, I still think Demarie Franklin is eligible. It's just a matter of when. I know that he and his family thought it was going to come yesterday, and I'm being told that it could be any day. So we'll see.
Well, it would be outstanding if it came in time for Ole Miss, which gets us now to this stretch, which is really good. You've got the Rebels coming in Saturday, then you got Arkansas, Little Rock, and They're not North Alabama, but they're certainly not Ole Miss or A&M or Auburn and Alabama, which you are going to play in this stretch because they're 2-6 in the OVC. I think they have had a disappointing start thus far to their season, but this stretch will tell us just how good Memphis really is, and I think it begins on Saturday. I think Ole Miss is better than a lot of people thought they would be. They have so many new players. Abrams turned out to be a better player. They haven't even played Ruffin yet. He might be playing this coming weekend. I think Breakfield's really a good player. He's the kid that transferred from Duke. This is going to be a really good test for the U of M. I don't even know, and we should double check. JMO, check to see if there is a line out yet on Ole Miss and Memphis. What are your thoughts, Jason?
I do think that this is going to be a really, it should be the best team that Memphis has seen. I mean, at least as we sit here today.
Better than St. Louis?
Right I guess that's true. I don't know. I mean, although I will say, I mean, like I'd like to see that game. I'd like to see Ole Miss St. Louis square off this season. It would be, that would be an interesting matchup. But at the very least, it'll be, one of the better teams that they have seen so far. And I think it comes at a good time. Like they had that sort of easy-ish game last night, and it's almost a week removed from the 3 games in 4 days stretch. But here's what I'll say about this stretch coming up, where it's 4 SEC games in the next 5, in the span of the next 5. I don't think that if you're Memphis and you don't go out and kick butt, I don't think it's going to break you. But boy, you could certainly, if you do well, you will certainly make a lot of hay along the way here with this stretch. Like if you go 2-2, perfect, fine. I mean, great. It is what it is. If you go 2-2, you'll take it. But if you go 3-1 or shoot for the stars 4-0, well, then you're talking about you vaulted yourself up in the bracketology conversation to possibly top 6 seed area, somewhere in that range. If you go out and you beat Alabama.
I forget what their net is, and obviously that's not the only thing. But if you go net KenPom and you look in that area, they were 26 seed, 26 KenPom yesterday. That's probably higher now because North Alabama was 327, but that's still a 4 or 5 seed right there, 5 seed. And you get 3, say, quad 1 wins here. I think now you're floating with the potential of at least a 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Memphis is 28 right now in the KenPom after last night, but yeah, Auburn and Alabama are, I think, top 20. Ole Miss is 51 today. Texas A&M is probably somewhere around there, top 50 team. So yeah, I mean, you have a chance. It's not going to kill you if you don't do well. If you go 1-3, or even if, goodness forbid, you go 0-4. I don't think that would be great, but I don't think it would also. It also wouldn't torpedo your resume. But you do have a chance to, if you go 3-1 or 4-0, you're on the map. Then, you have opened some serious eyes around the country if you can do that. And so that's in my mind why it's so important this next stretch here.
Ken Pomeroy has the Tigers by 7 against Ole Miss.
7? Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
That is. He is Jason Munz, beat writer for the Commercial Appeal when it comes to the Tigers. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you your usual time slot on Monday.
All right, sounds good.
That is our guy. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken knows this is a big decision you're making. You're committing quite a bit of money for that dream home or that renovation with the innovation, because that's what I think he does. I really do. I think he's a guy that knows all the modern amenities, and he'll make your old home a modern palace. He really will. If you go to kengarland.com, you'll see what I'm talking about and know that he works closely with his clients. He learned that from his dad. 2 generations of custom home building in our market. And when you go to kengarland.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. And know this is what he pledges: on time, on budget, quality construction. Beautifully done. His number, 751-1632. He's fun to talk to, detail guy, that's for sure. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We're back in just a minute. We will head to Baton Rouge and talk some college football with our SEC historian, Ron Higgins. He comes your way in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey friends, Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. You're probably thinking now about what to get that wonderful lady in your life for Christmas. And if you want something special, let me give you some advice. Special gifts do not come with a cord or a plug. The best gifts come in small boxes, make her eyes sparkle, and those gifts are our strongest point at Russell Brothers. A beautiful diamond bracelet or perhaps a pair of stunning diamond studs could make you a real hero on Christmas morning. Maybe she's dropped some hints about a gold and diamond necklace, or you want to surprise her with a magnificent ring that says, I love you. Stunning gifts of jewelry come in so many different flavors, and we've got them all just waiting for you at Russell Brothers. We've been helping Memphis shoppers for 5 decades, and we would love to help you become a part of the Russell Brothers family. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins, and remember, no cords and no plugs. Let us help you be the best Santa you can possibly be. Russell Brothers Jewelers.
Hi, this is Greg Gaston for QC Kinetics. Remember the guy for the Hair Club of Men who would say, I'm not just the president, but I'm a client. Well, I'm not just a spokesman, but I'm a client of QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine. It's a remedy for all the joint pain you're dealing with in the hips, shoulder, elbows, wherever it may be, pain from injury or arthritis. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue and do so without surgery, drugs, or downtime. And in my business, I can't afford downtime. QC Kinetics is also an alternative way for those dealing with pain caused by injury like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff injury, which is what I'm dealing with. So don't keep living with that pain. Do what I'm doing, getting relief from QC Kinetics. Call for a free consultation today. 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive, always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Tiger Nation men's basketball plays Ole Miss Saturday, December 3rd at 6:30. FedEx Forum will be rocking for this whiteout. Come watch the reloaded Memphis Tigers take on regional rival Ole Miss. Penny Hardaway's squad is looking to make it back to the NCAA tournament, and we need you there. Wear white, cheer loud, see you at FedEx Forum, and go Tigers go.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We We got a heck of a football game tonight, by the way. Russell Copeland under the weather, so he's not able to go today. We wish him a quick recovery. Bills at Patriots can be listened to right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM starting at 6:30. Should be that's the old rivalry. Buffalo's got to return to form, right? Knock Bill Belichick back a little bit.
On the road?
Yes.
Tough game.
It is, especially the way Josh Allen and the Bills have been playing of late. We go to Baton Rouge in a minute. I'll let you know that Ron Higgins is brought to you in part by AmeriCare. If you've got an elderly loved one in your family you're worried about, can they live on their own? Do you need memory care? Do they have some dementia issues? AmeriCare is here for you. 3 different AmeriCare senior living places in Memphis. One on Hacks Cross called South Breeze, the other in Collierville, Schilling Gardens, and the third one in Olive Branch is called Olive Grove Terrace, right there on Goodman Road. So the philosophy of AmeriCare is, you got to have exercise programs when you're in assisted living. You got to eat right. We know all that. The key is wellness. The key is making where you live feel like home. It's important to spend time with friends. It's important to have a purpose that gets you up each morning. Where you live really matters. In their smaller, more intimate communities, it's easier to make friends and to join in those fun activities, to share good company at mealtimes, feeling at home. So, if you would like for your elder loved one to age well and live happier, I want you to inquire about the AmeriCare community in this area. Any one of those 3 will do. South Breeze, Schilling Gardens, or Olive Grove Terrace. We go to Baton Rouge, and I guess the first question is, because you got a championship game coming up with Georgia this week. LSU does. What the heck happened with A&M? How did this LSU team, which had so much momentum, just blow it against A&M? Good morning.
It was A&M's bowl game. They just played like it was their. They've been lost 6 in a row, then won the week before barely, but they got some guys back who've been hurt most in the last few weeks, and one of them was a running back. And LSU, they just flipped LSU the line of scrimmage. They came to play. LSU didn't. And LSU's program's improved a ton this year, but it's still not at the point where it can not play well and still win a game. And you got credit A&M, and they. Again, that was their last chance to play this season and, take out a team and knock them down a notch. And, that one definitely hurt. I mean, LSU was ranked 5 at that point and it had won, had a nice win streak, and it just didn't happen for them that day. Early in the second half, they made a run back to get in it, and they got in block, got him off the edge, and hit LSU's quarterback. He fumbled, A&M took it in for a touchdown. The LSU just kind of never got it back. So now it's on the SEC championship game to play Georgia. I think LSU's about a 17 underdog. That sounds about right.
17.5 is the latest line that I have on that.
Honestly, that sounds about right. I mean, LSU might beat that spread just under it. Georgia's not if you watch Georgia, they're not a spectacular team, and you probably can't name more than 3 or 4 players on their team off the top of your head. They just kind of plod along, but they're nice and steady. They don't make mistakes, and they win football games. And that's what they do. They're not particularly explosive, but they're first they're in the top 5 nationally in 10 stat categories. They do a lot of things well. So I can't see LSU coming close to winning this game. But, Tennessee fans remember 2001 when they were, one win away from the Rose Bowl. LSU came a 3-loss LSU team in the SEC championship game and beat Tennessee with a backup quarterback and a backup running back. So it's possible, but unlikely.
I don't see that happening either. By the way, one last thing on that A&M debacle. I am ticked at Jimbo Fisher because we all know he's the offensive genius. He's told us that over the years. And he fires Darryl Dickey, who's his OC. We know Fisher's calling the plays.
Yeah. And the thing is, he's never developed a quarterback since he's been there. And he's supposed to be this great quarterbacks coach. I mean, talk about Fisher.
I know.
Never developed one since he's been there. And that's one of the reasons they were bad this year. They had guys get hurt. The guy they had to start of the year wasn't any good, and they went to the guy at LSU who got hurt. He was okay, but that's been the problem since he's been there. They really haven't had a really guy who could run the show really well, and that could continue to happen. And this, the division just got tougher when Auburn hired Hugh Freeze. It just got a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
It really did.
I'll ask you about that in 1 second, but I do want to ask you if there's any play, because everybody in Baton Rouge is talking LSU, Georgia this week, I know, but is there any action at all? People chatting about Tulane and UCF, because New Orleans isn't that far, and here is Willie Fritz's team in a championship game, and if they win that, they're probably going to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, there's no chatter in Baton Rouge, but I know there's some in New Orleans, and he's done a great job, and he's staying there. He's not going to Georgia Tech. He's done a great job.
Did he turn down Georgia Tech, or was that leverage to get more money out of Tulane?
I think he may have turned him down. I don't know how much more money Tulane can get him. I mean, Tulane, as you know, Tulane is not exactly rolling.
Well, they got a pretty good endowment. It's not like
they got a good endowment, but still, they don't like giving out bucks. But he's done a really good job. There's no doubt about that. And he's battling Gus Malzahn for a chance to go to the Cotton Bowl. I mean, so we'll see what happens. I'm pulling for him. I think Willie Fritz has done a great job at Tulane.
Me too. He won 2 games a year ago, and he's turned it all around. He was due. They had patience. It worked out. I'm all for him. I'm not a big Gus Malzahn guy. I'm curious, last thing, our SEC historian, will Hugh Freeze work at Auburn?
All the self-righteous, sanctimonious people who are still trying to fry Hugh Freeze for stuff that happened to him a while back, and some of it was obviously very personal, and he has paid the price. His family has paid the price, and he's going to go in there and actually kick ass because that's what he does. He'll get people, he'll get really good athletes to play for him because he has a system they like to play in, and he will win. And all those people who are bitching and moaning about how Auburn hired a guy like this, they'll shut up.
We will chat with you next week about the college football playoffs because we'll have it all down, and about the expansion, which came out yesterday, which is actually very good news, I think, for the University of Memphis. Ron, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great week.
All right, well, take care. We'll see you.
You got it. Ron Higgins down in Baton Rouge. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. Matt and his group, well, they'll take care of you. You should never sacrifice great service, even with great value, but you get both with the Eflin Insurance Team. I promise. Matt's going to sit down, and he's going to talk with you and get to know your family. It's collaboration. That's the way he and his group operate. They will know what your family's all about, what your needs are. That's how you figure out how to properly protect a family when it comes to life insurance or home insurance, an auto program. Gets to know the people, then picks the right protection once he knows your budget. Same thing with commercial insurance. He's a specialist with small to mid-sized businesses. He'll figure out your assets. He'll ask you to forecast things out. And he'll know, believe me, exactly what is important. And, again, your budget, and then he protects you. All you got to do is make the call. It's simple. He's got Gurr in there because he's a big Tiger fan. 901-386-GURR. That's 4777 for the Eflin Insurance Team. That'll do it for us on this Thursday. J-Mo and I are back to making picks tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Johnny Radio is next. Have a great day, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willotion here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends. Right at the corner of Highway 78, Lamar.